World Football Governing Body FIFA on Friday banned the former Nigeria Football Federation official Samson Siasia for life. This comes after the body's ethics panel found him guilty of taking bribes in connection with match fixing. In a statement, FIFA's Independent Ethics Committee said the probe targeting Siasia stemmed from a wider investigation involving Wilson Raj Perumal, who had confessed to international match fixing. In addition to being banned from all football-related activity for life, Siasia, a former striker who coached Nigeria's men's national football team, was also handed a fine of 50,000 Swiss francs. And leader of the proscribed Islamic movement in Nigeria, IMN, Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, and his wife Zinat are back in Nigeria from India. The couple returned to Nigeria on Friday afternoon, 4 days after they left the country to be treated in Delhi. The couple's departure for India followed a ruling of the Kaduna State High Court, which granted them permission to be treated in the country. The trip turned controversial on their arrival at the hospital in India, where treatment was to commence. The IMN accused the Nigerian government of treating their leader like a criminal and denying him free movement and access to the doctor with whom they had had an agreement. They also claimed that El-Zakzaki was monitored by heavy security surveillance in India. In its response, the federal government of Nigeria denied the allegations, accusing El-Zakzaki of what it called unruly behavior and apologized to the Indian authorities. El-Zakzaki and his wife are facing an 8 counts of culpable homicide, unlawful assembly, and disturbance of public peace at the Kaduna State High Court. And finally, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association and the Center for Social Justice say the directive by President Muhammadu Buhari to the Central Bank of Nigeria to withdraw foreign exchange for importation of food is coming at a wrong time. They made their views known on Wednesday in separate statements. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, on the other hand, called for a clarification on food items to be restricted from foreign exchange allocation. The president had on Tuesday told the Apex Bank not to give a cent to anybody to import food into the country, saying by so doing there will be steady improvement in agricultural production and attainment of food security. The president said some states like Kebbi, Ogun, Lagos, Jigawa, Ebonyi, and Kano had already taken advantage of the federal government's policy on agriculture, with huge returns in rice farming. However, the NECA in its statement said though the initiative was laudable, the country could not afford such a policy now, as it had yet to attain self-sufficiency in food production. Now, data feeds are coming through all in one place on all of our social media platforms. You can be a part of the show. Tweet at me at KAY Alayande using the hashtag State of the Nation to be part of the conversation. This is prime time in Lagos, Nigeria, and you are watching State of the Nation. Welcome again. I'm Kaide Alayode, and this is State of the Nation. We invite you to be a part of the show. Use the hashtag State of the Nation and tweet also at me, at KAY Alayode. Your thoughts are much appreciated on the subjects tonight. All right, so on Tuesday, President Muhammadu Buhari told the Apex Bank not to give a cent to anybody to import food into the country, saying by so doing, there will be steady improvement in agricultural production and attainment of food security. But so much controversy has ensued after this. But we have two brilliant gentlemen in the studio right now to discuss that matter and help us to make sense of it. We have Mr. Babatunde Ogunyemi, a farmer and MD CEO of Thelma Farms. Thank you for joining us. Also, we have Mr. Seun Onigmide, the MD CEO of Budget. Welcome to the show.
It's a great being here.
All right, Mr. Ogunyemi, you're a farmer on an industrial scale. Are we food secure?
Well, I think coming on here to say we are food secure will be misleading everyone who is a stakeholder in the country. We are still far from being food secure. What you need to do is to go into a community and gauge their food security percentage, or level. You will find out that they still struggle for protein. In our rural communities, we still have 0 to 5 year olds struggling to grow normally because of the lack of proper nutrition that they should have. You understand? So coming to say we have food security or to justify that, we are very far from it. However, we are moving in the right direction, however, at a very slow pace. We need to up our game. We need to come up and actually reevaluate all our policies and procedures, our processes to help us to be food secure. We need to evaluate them realistically. Not agencies that have implemented policies or projects to boost food security assessing themselves. No, we need true independent assessment that would actually give the executives a true picture of what our level of food security is. Yes, more people have gone to the farm. But yes, does that mean that our food basket has improved in terms of yield? I beg to differ. It has not really, because we still have issues about storage. We have issues about free movement of goods and persons, even within a state, talk less of within the country. We need to look at that. We need to also look at the major and basic problems, right, that we as farmers. One, they talk about funds, they talk about infrastructure, we talk about inputs. At the end of it, these are still underlying factors that are affecting our food production system. Okay? We have industries coming up, good. But at the end of the day, the question we need to ask ourselves is this. The food production, our palate, our staple food, do they have the dollar factor in them? And almost all our foods, right from the elite or from the people at the lower part of the pyramid in the population, all our food still has some form of dollar factor in them.
All right, so let me go to Mr. Onigmide. You're a person of numbers, and you can help us make sense of this. What are the ramifications? Yes, some people have said we need to protect local farmers, like Mr. Ogunyemi. What's the ramification? What's the implication of this? Should the CBN go forward with it?
No, we have to first look at the pronouncement by the president, and first this is coming from that the president directed the CBN. The CBN works as like an autonomous agency. I mean, the independence of the CBN is a critical signal for investors in the country. We are trying to breach that, or we have even breached that, because we have not heard a single word from the CBN since that pronouncement has been made. And so we first have to understand that implication, the wider scale of things, for those who are looking at Nigeria from a telescopic point. Now, if you come to food security and ramifications, 6.38% is what we spent in Q1 2019, these are FBS figures, on importation of food, of agricultural products in total. If you put that in numbers, that's like $700 million. That's what we have spent in a quarter. Extrapolate that for 4 quarters. So we're spending $3 billion in a year on food importation, as at this time, based on MBS figures. So where exactly do we get this point from that if we are going to conserve foreign exchange, it's going to come from us reducing importation of food? It's not fact-based. And 3% of that 6.38%, it's strictly around wheat. And so when you say, which capacity do we have to produce bread? I mean, wheat that's a major ingredient for production of bread. So we just sit down from a corner and assume things can happen from pie in the sky. You cannot grow into that level in a day. You might not even have the climate, or you might not even have the soil structure to even be able to deliver wheat at the scale or the population of Nigeria. We are aware of what is happening with rice. We say, oh, we're not importing rice anymore. Well, how come? Benin Republic is one of the top 5 importers of rice in the world. This is a country with less than 20 million in population.
Yes, but the federal government or the president himself has said, look, we need to take advantage of some policies that we already have rolling. You can talk about initiatives like the homegrown school feeding program, the CBN program for holder farmers, and a host of others that we need to maximize those, shut our doors, because at some point we'll need to make this decision, Mr. Ogunyemi.
Right. You see, when I have directives like this, right, I'm not overly excited because I want to look at the trends of previous policies and directives like this. Let's look at rice, right? The simple litmus test I will give with rice. If we've just finished we've just concluded a festive period this week, what is the statistic of Nigerian grown rice that was served during the Salah festive period? You know, how many executives can boast, or how many politicians can boast that the rice, the bags of rice they gave out, right, is Nigerian grown rice? Don't let us be hypocritical about this. Let us be straightforward. I think we need to sit back and study the rice saga. The rice saga, I am a stakeholder, and everything I've been hearing, most of the things I'm hearing about rice production, right, is tinted. It is not a fact. We need to be factual about this. If we are using rice to go forward as a template, then we will fail completely in our process.
Sorry to cut you short.
Yeah.
Mr. Onikbide, your final thoughts on this?
My final thought is that this cannot be a broad pronouncement. You need to be selective.
Absolutely.
You need to say, these are the places we see capacity, maybe tomatoes, and we're going to grow that way. And you also have to look at the other side of it, the exports. You do like 39 billion naira in sesame exports. You don't have to always, you can import what you eat. It's no-brainer. And focus your energies on the things that you can export and gain more value. You know, this whole idea that the only way we will conserve FX is when we stop importation. It's just flawed.
All right, gentlemen, I must thank you for sparing your time to come into the studio to discuss this with us. I've had in the studio with me Mr. Babatunde Ogunyemi, a farmer and MD CEO at Thelma Farms, and Mr. Seun Onigbinde of Budget. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us in the studio.
Pleasure.